Hello friends, it is CJoy of CJoy Yoga. This sequence is more for my friends at BMAC, but it can be for anybody. In general, very gentle, slow moving, and it's designed for my friends who work in an office, but again, you don't necessarily have to work in an office. It's going to be super minimal since you are potentially in an office, and that is you will have a chair and maybe either a wall or a counter space that is approximately the height of your hips-ish, and we'll talk about that when we get to that move. But we're going to start on the chair. You can obviously start facing. I'm going to go to the side just so you can see my physical body a little better, right? Instead of sitting back into the chair, which almost always brings us into that rounded spine and that dowager's hump in the upper back. My poor little neck is just killing, and my upper back muscles from holding up the weight of my head, right? We're going to bring ourselves all the way to the edge of the chair till the buttocks are on the edge and the thighs are almost off. Have your heels underneath your knees. Ideally, you want your hips the height of your knees, but we work with what we got. We're going to put our hands down on our thighs to start. Down is usually a little more grounding, so let's just start by grounding our energy in ourselves. Now pay attention to how you are sitting in the rest of your spine, we'll say, right? And again, if you're in that same position that we tend towards when we're seated, I'm wondering if you can roll forward until you're on the middle of your buttocks bones. And when that happens and that low back starts to come into place, right, then the upper body starts to find its way, the crown of the head can reach directly out, and hopefully we have our ears over our shoulders, over our hips. And then if you used a lot of effort to try to get up and get really, really tall, soften a little bit. And if you're on the other side of that today and you're really having a hard time, maybe just use a little bit more so we have that happy medium right in the middle. Go ahead and close your eyes. We're going to start by doing a body scan. So bring your awareness to your forehead and your eyebrows and the muscles around the eyes, and soften any muscles that are tense. You don't need them right now. And just notice what's happening, right? Check into your temples, especially my friends who get headaches. And then follow that muscle from the temple all the way down to the bottom jaw. Can you soften your bottom teeth away from your top teeth by softening that muscle? Soften the tongue. And then check into the neck and the throat. Now we're getting into areas where we have to be holding on a little bit, contracting a little bit, right? But soften what you don't need. Check into your shoulders. Make sure they're softening down away from the ears. Check into your arms, hands, and fingers. And then check into your chest and your upper back. Into that mid-rib cage, the belly, and the low back. Check into those hips and find out what's happening there. And then go ahead and bring that all the way through your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, ankles, feet, and toes. If your knees want to go wide, that's many of us, right? Try and get those inner groin to move down to the ground slightly so that we get those knees in line with our buttocks bones. And then let's just do a couple of breaths here before we begin to move the physical body. So inhale into the low belly. Let the belly move away from the spine. And exhale, let the low belly float back towards the spine. And again, when you inhale, let the belly float out away from the spine. You're not efforting, you're just allowing. And exhale, belly floats back towards the spine. Again, keep those belly muscles super soft. Inhale. And exhale. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and open the eyes. Our first move is going to be what's called cat-cow. It's often done on hands and knees, but we're just going to do it right in our chair. You might slide those hands forward to or towards your knees. You don't have to kill yourself to try to get to them. They can be a little bit back, right? And when you inhale, you're going to take those frontal hip points and see if those frontal hip points can rock forward just a little bit. We're going to keep it down in the pelvis for my friends who actually know cat-cow. We'll get bigger with it in a second. Pull those frontal hip points all the way back and around that low back behind you. So again, just the pelvis right now. Inhale, frontal hip points start to move forward, right? And we pull the belly up a little bit, and then exhale, pull the frontal hip points back, rolling onto the back of your buttocks bones. Roll forward onto the front of the buttocks bones, frontal hip points moving forward. And exhale back, right? Use that low belly for this motion. Now we're gonna add on and get a little bigger with it. Inhale, as you rock forward onto the front of the buttocks bones, slide the shoulder blades down the back and reach the chest forward and up. And exhale, pull the low belly in. First start the pelvis, but as I go onto the back of my pelvis, I'm gonna let the rest of the spine follow this time. And inhale, frontal hip points move forward, reach the chest forward and up. Maybe the gaze shifts up, shoulders roll back. Exhale, pull the belly in, round that spine back. Let the head drop in and soften. One more time, inhale, shoulder blades down the back, frontal hip points forward, and let's reach that chest forward and up. And then exhale, round that whole spine back behind you. Pause, stay there. If you have your hands on your knees, you're gonna pull against the knees and try to get that space to move even further back. And then inhale back up into neutral, release the hands back on the thighs just a little bit. And then from there, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try to go into one more big move for the outer hip. If any of my friends have skirt, especially if you have a desk or something, that's gonna be ideal, right? Otherwise facing towards a wall, or you can always modify by just crossing the leg over. If you can bring the right ankle onto the left knee, if that's difficult, let that left foot move forward and let the whole thing come a little further away from your body, right? You're gonna grab the outer edge of your chair wherever you can, maybe it's the arms, right? But you're gonna soften the shoulders back and reach the chest forward, right? My elbows bend back behind me depending on where you're grabbing on your chair. And then if I start to fold forward, let me say one other thing. Flex the right foot and let the right thigh move away from you. I'm trying to get you in your outer right hip area. You might go ahead and push off of the chair, but don't push yourself to the legs. Push your chest forward and up. Try to keep that really long spine. You can always move your hands a little forward if you're folding in that far, right? And go ahead and take another breath when you hit that edge and the outer right hip is saying, oh, good morning, right? Or maybe good afternoon, maybe good evening, I don't know, maybe good bed. Inhale and exhale. And inhale, go ahead and bring that chest back up, lift the spine up, put the right foot down on the ground. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bring that left leg up. Again, if this is difficult for you, you can let that leg go forward, right? Otherwise that left leg up, crossing over isn't quite as effective for the outer hip, but always available, or just folding forward if it's nowhere in your realm, that's all right. And again, flex the left foot if it's up, left knee moves gently away from the body. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna lengthen the spine so you can push into that chair, shoulder heads back, shoulder blades down the back, get nice and long, and then you might shoot yourself forward and up like a rocket ship as you start to move over those legs. But the folding happens at the pelvis. And find that area right here today for me. I'm noticing my left side is tighter than my right, which is unusual for me. So I'm gonna take that information in. I'm not saying you have the same thing going on, but what's happening in your body, right? Take an inhale. Exhale there, and then inhale, bring that chest back up, release that left foot back down, and let's go ahead and come on up to standing, and we're going to do some stuff from standing. If standing is difficult for you, you can always do this from seated, but we're going to go ahead and come off the chair for a little bit because you probably sit a lot during the day, right? And just start to move the body in a slightly different way. So my feet are hip distance, my toes are straight forward, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to find out, again, how do I tend to stand? If you tend to stand, right, most of us tend to stand with the hips forward a little bit, that upper back rounded behind us and the head a little forward. So put the weight back into the heels, thighs shift back, pull the frontal hip points up just a little bit, shoulder head soften back, and then hopefully we have ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels. And then from here, right, from this position with the neck in line with the rest of the spine, you're going to go ahead and you're going to simply turn your head to the right. Chin is parallel to the ground. You're not trying to get any particular place. Just go as far as you comfortably can. Inhale, back to neutral. And exhale, turn the head to the left. Come on back to neutral. Turn the head to the right. Don't let the right shoulder move forward. Keep the shoulders in place. Inhale, back to neutral. And again, without the left shoulder moving anywhere, turn the head to the left. Chin parallel to the ground. Inhale, back to neutral. Moving into these side neck muscles. Let your right ear move towards your right shoulder. You'll notice my face is directly forward. Inhale, come on up. So I don't change the angle, right? I just simply drop the ear over towards the shoulder. Inhale, back up. Exhale, right ear towards right shoulder. You're going to pause this time. Take your left fingertips, reach them down and away. Take a breath, inhale. And exhale. Keep the head where it is. Reach the left arm out. Push that hand into an imaginary wall and feel that length, right? Start to come into that under left arm area. I feel it from the front of my fingers all the way through my armpit, down even into my side body today. Inhale, bring the head up, bring the hand down. Left ear towards left shoulder, face forward. First, we start by taking our right fingertips and reaching them down and away. Inhale. And exhale. You can always stay here if this next one is too much. Otherwise, you reach that arm up and you push through the palm of your hand. Try that again. Remember, you can always drop the arm down a little bit if you're dealing with a shoulder injury. And really push through that palm. And again, just notice, is this side different than the other? Where do you feel it on this side? How is it different, if it's different? I said that in a bad order, but you know what I mean. Inhale, bring that head up, bring that arm back down, and we've got one more neck stretch that we're going to do. You're going to take the very middle of the area between the thumb and the index finger and put it right in between your chin and your lower lip. Now the head starts in neutral, in line with the rest of the spine. And on the exhale, I'm going to push it back a little bit beyond that. Inhale, neutral. It's not a huge move. And exhale, push that back. Inhale, neutral. Try to release the neck muscles. Exhale, use your hand to push. Keep the neck soft. Inhale, neutral. Last one. Exhale, hold it back there this time. Inhale. And exhale, release the hand down. Release the head back to neutral. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the shoulders a little bit. You're going to take those shoulders and you're going to bring them up really tightly up to the ears. Inhale. And when you exhale, sigh out of your mouth and let them just drop. Inhale. If this hurts for any reason, move slowly. Otherwise, let them drop. One more of those. Inhale the shoulders up into the ears. Exhale, drop them down. Go ahead and take a couple of shoulder rolls, moving them forward, up, back, and down. Arms can just be soft by the side. And then you're going to go the other way, back, forward, up, and down. We're going to end by doing one more time, forward, back, up, and down, so we get that beautiful, broad collarbone. And then you're going to see if you can interlace your hands behind your back. Other options are grabbing the thumbs, or go ahead and you can even grab the edge of your shirt, or if you have a strap or a belt, right? You can work with that if this feels really tight today, especially broad-shouldered friends, right? With my elbows a little bent, standing nice and tall, the weight in my heels, my shoulder heads start to move back. And as I push into my tailbone, right, I'm going to remind it to stay right there and not to pop out behind me. And then from there, that might be plenty. Welcome to the front of your chest and your shoulders, right? You might start to reach the knuckles down, but don't let the shoulders roll back. And you don't have to be super zealous with that. For years, I would just be like, eager beaver. More than being an aggressive person, it's being an eager beaver, really doing what the teacher says, 120%. And that's not as beneficial for the body, right? We're finding that area where it's just starting to open, but where we can still soften, right? Where we're not exerting every ounce of energy in our body. And go ahead and release those arms. Now we're going to get a little bigger. Again, shoulder injury friends, you might not lift that arm past shoulder height. Otherwise, inhale, reach those arms out and up. Exhale, fold, or reach the arms, palms out and down. You're not folding yet. We'll go there. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. Exhale, reach those arms down. We're going to add on and do a little side waist stretch. Inhale, reach those arms up. Reach the right heel and the right fingertips. Oh, I should mirror you. Up a little bit further, right? And come back to neutral. Reach the left heel down. Reach the left fingertips up. So lengthen all the way out of that side waist. And neutral. I'm not pulling my shoulder out of my socket. As I reach through the right side, I'm lengthening my side waist. Back to neutral. And then lengthen and lengthen and reach and reach. And back to neutral. Go ahead and reach those arms out and down. And if it means, if it feels nice to have a couple of shoulder rolls, go ahead and take those. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get into our rib cage just a little bit, right? We did those cat-cows earlier. This is going to be adding on to that motion. So imagine, if you will, that there was a barrel around you, right? And that you were rolling the ribs around the edges of that barrel. We're going to start by simply letting the ribs move forward, right? And then we're going to move them over to the right, and then we're going to move them back behind us, and then over to the left. And then moving them forward to the right, or forward, and then to the right, and then behind, and then to the left. And again, this time you're going to go in a circle, and you're going to try to seam that up, and go ahead and just do that a couple of times, or I should say maybe a few, and really try to hit the edges. So don't worry about getting a lot of reps in, worry about moving slow and trying to really isolate those ribs. Now pause and neutral, ribs forward to the left, back behind you to the right, ribs forward and to the left. Oh, I'm not mirroring you. Back behind you and to the right. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to let the ribs go in that circular motion, right? You can always take 4 corners if that doesn't make sense. And then come on back to your neutral. And just to get into that spine a little bit, right? You're going to go ahead and have your feet a little wider than hip distance. You can bend the knees a little bit. We're going to try not to move our hips much, so that when we go into our twist, we're getting it more in our spinal column than in our hips itself. So you're going to go ahead and we're going to just do a loosey-goosey twist. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to let those arms just kind of move, swing to the right and swing to the left. And just let that go wherever it goes. It doesn't have to be a big twist. Keep the shoulders, right, in line. Move them back as you swing in. Don't go into a rounded upper back. Try to keep the line of the spine. Crown of the head reaching right out of the rest of that spine. Right. And if it's okay, let the head start to turn into it, nice and light. And again, just getting into that spinal column a little bit, getting into that side waist a little bit. The hips, they move a little, but not too much. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a little bit of our side waist, and we're going to turn that on and activate it. So you're going to reach your arms out to the height of the shoulders, lower if you have a shoulder injury. And go ahead and have the feet a little wider, but toes straight forward. A little bend in the knees. Take an inhale. Now I want you to turn on the side waist to turn you to the right, and don't let your hips move with this. Inhale, bring that neutral. Keep the shoulders in the sockets. Exhale, left side waist is going to start to turn you in. And inhale back. So now I'm trying to strengthen your core, yeah? Go ahead and turn to the right. Maybe the head turns as well. And inhale back to neutral. Don't round the spine. Exhale to the left. Maybe turn the head to the left. And come back to neutral. One more on each side. You can always put your hands on your hips for this if it's like, no way, Jose. Inhale back. And exhale. And inhale back. Bring those arms down by the side. And let's go ahead and just go into those hips for just a moment, just by literally letting them start to circle as well. And again, don't try to do really fast circles. Try to move a little slower, right? And as you move a little slower, just see if you can start to get the whole span of those hips, right? My shoulders, they're going to move a little bit, but I'm trying not to move them that much. Same thing, my knees, they're going to move a little bit, but I'm not like loosey-goosey with it, right? I'm really trying to bring it into the area of the hips, and you'll start to feel how it gets into the belly, that low back a little bit, maybe even the tops of the legs. Now we're going to do one quad stretch. You can always do this from seated, by the way, right? As such, you can use a wall, and I'm going to use a wall. You can use the side of your desk, right? So we're going to start with the right leg. You're going to go ahead and really root down through that left foot, left hip in the socket, and then you're going to bring that right foot up and put the hand or the ankle, top of the foot or the ankle in the hand. Now the thigh would love to move forward and out. So you're going to see if you can start to move that knee down and in until your thighs are parallel to one another, yeah? And then as you do that, as the knee reaches down and in, I'm going to pull the right frontal hip point up, slide the shoulder back, crown of the head out of the rest of the spine, weight in the left heel, and breathe into that quadricep. Inhale. And exhale, go ahead and release that down. If this is a really big one for you, A, stretch these things a lot more, and B, turn and put your right hand against the wall. You can always use a strap as a bridge, right? a belt or something like that. Now go ahead and see if you can start to bring that left foot up. Really push into that inner right heel so you get that right leg stable. Move the left knee in and down lightly, and then pull that left frontal hip point up. Again, I'm trying to parallel my thighs as much as I can, and then pulling the frontal hip points up is really going to start to activate those quadriceps. And take one more breath, shoulder back, crown of the head out of the spine, and release that down. And then we've got one more, and then we'll call it a day on today's sequence, and that is your hamstrings. They get really tight on so many of us, and especially when we're not really active, we're sitting down for a lot of our day. So you're gonna put your buttocks against a wall. That way no one's behind you. You don't have to worry about your buttocks in the air, right? So find a wall, and you're gonna put your buttocks against it. You can also do this from the chair, for my chair friends, with your legs in front of you, okay? That's option number one. Everything else will be true of folding from the pelvis and such. Option two, you're against the wall. My feet are out away from the wall a good deal, about a foot. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start to fold in. Now the more I push my inner heels into the ground, right? And for my seated friends, pull the pinky toe edge back to you. But push the inner heels down into the ground, shoulder blades down the, not shoulder blades down the back, sorry. Buttocks flesh reaching up towards the sky. And go ahead and just try to keep those legs as straight as you can in your body. You can always take bent knees, right? And then one more piece. Inhale, reach the chest forward, hands on the shins. And then exhale, fold out over those legs one more time, really reaching your inner heels down. Let's take 2 breaths from here. Soften the arms, the tongue, the jaw, the brow. Last breath, inhale. Exhale there, and then put your hands on your shins. Inhale, reach the chest forward. Slide the buttocks down the wall to roll up. My friends who are on the chair, just bend your knees and bring them back into position. And let's come back to our chairs just for a moment, into that original position. Buttocks on the edge, heels underneath the knees. Putting the weight back, crown of the head, ears I should say, over shoulders, over hips. Those palms might turn up at this point in time. It might feel nice to let the energy come down into them. If you need grounding or you're anxious or stressed, turn them down. It's going to be a little more grounding probably for you. So either one, close the eyes, and let's take 3 of those soft belly breaths together before we end. Inhale, let the belly float away from the spine. Exhale, belly floats back towards the spine. Inhale, belly floats out away from the spine. Exhale, belly floats back in. Last one, go ahead and take it on your own. Bring your hands up together at the chest. Inhale, sit up a little taller. Exhale, keep the chest lifted but bow your head. And just take a moment of gratitude that you gave yourself this space and time. And hopefully maybe your body feels a little more open, so just tune into that. And you never have to say back to me, but I will always say to you, namaste, honoring the light that shines within. Okay, my BMAC friends, I hope you feel a little more open before you go back to that desk or into that meeting. And I will put out a few more office designed ones for you, okay? Have a great